to welcome the chairman and the CEOs who are here today. So we will be able to interact. This is something that, in my vision, will mark a turning point in our bilateral relations. By the way, for your information, His Excellency the Prime Minister tomorrow will have an important meeting with Her Excellency the Prime Minister of Italy, the Honorable Giorgia Meloni, together with the Minister. So that I think it was long overdue to have this interaction at the highest political level. The very important thing is that there's also a very substantial part on the business side. Business means creation of value. Malaysia is a country which offers tremendous opportunities, is at the heart of Southeast Asia, and not only, is the perfect hub to establish business looking at the wider Asian markets. So today we will have this opportunity, and of course, most likely the Prime Minister and the Minister of MITI will provide you with a lot of insights, including what is the new Malaysia, the Malaysia New Industrial Master Plan 2030. So that this has to be today a great point for each of us to get to meet and understand where the opportunities are. Then we will think through the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and collaborating with the Malaysian authorities and the Malaysian Embassy, MIDA, MATRADE, and of course the Italian Trade Agency, which are going to be the follow-ups. So thank you very much. I'm very glad to welcome you. I really thank you for your attention. So we are waiting for our leaders to arrive shortly. Of course, this doesn't mean that if somebody of you, any of you wants to have a coffee or something else, there's plenty of goodies, by the way, in the other room. So still, please feel free to go and get it. So thank you very much. So it's a matter of a few minutes, and we'll be starting. Thank you. Always appreciated. Thank you. Paola? Ecco, perfetto. Scusatemi, perché se no non mi sentivano. Bene. Our political leaders are about to come. So the language will be English. There's going to be only two different moments where it's going to be Italian. So for our Malaysian friends, you would have to take your earphones so that you can get the translation. That's going to be only the two momentum where you will have the need of translation. Then we are going to be in English for the whole day long. So okay, perfect. Ecco. Bene, signori, abbiamo l'onore di accogliere Sua Eccellenza il Vicepresidente del Consiglio e il Ministro degli Affari Esteri, l'onorevole Tajani, Sua Eccellenza il Primo Ministro della Malesia, Sua Eccellenza il Ministro dell'Industria, del Commercio e dell'Innovazione della Malesia. Lasciamo lo spazio ai media. Ok. Bisognerebbe che facciano le foto anche da qua. Facessero le foto anche da qua, che si vede tutta la platea. Ok, thank you very much, grazie. Bene, iniziamo. Signore e signori, buongiorno e benvenuti. È un onore aprire oggi la tavola rotonda sul partenariato economico tra Malesia e Italia, ospitata a Roma da Sua Eccellenza, il Vicepresidente del Consiglio e Ministro degli Affari Esteri, onorevole Antonio Tajani. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Selamat datang, a very warm welcome. It's my honor to open this Malaysia-Italy Economic Partnership Roundtable meeting, taking place today here in Rome and hosted by His Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, the Honorable Antonio Tajani, at the presence and on the occasion of the visit to Italy of His Excellency, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, the Most Honorable Dato Seri Anwar Ibrahim, to whom I extend our most respectful and heartfelt welcome. We are also pleased to welcome His Excellency, the Honorable Senator Tengku Zafrul Aziz, Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry of Malaysia. And I would also like to recognize and welcome His Excellency, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Malaysia, the Honorable Dato Seri Utama Haji Muhammad bin Haji Hassan. Welcome, Your Excellency. His Excellency, the Minister of Defense, the Honorable Mohammed Khaled bin Nordin. His Excellency, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, the Honorable Mohammed Sabu. His Excellency, the Minister of Transport of Malaysia, the Honorable Loke Siu Fook. His Excellency, the Deputy Minister of Energy Transition and Water Transformation, the Honorable Akmal Nasrullah Mohd Nasir, the honorable members of the Parliament of Malaysia. I welcome too the esteemed Malaysian and Italian business leaders, the representatives of financial institutions, trade promotion agencies, and business associations. Benvenuti, selamat datang, and thank you for joining us in this forum of collaboration and opportunity. And now I have the honor to give the floor to the Honorable Antonio Tajani, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Italy. Prego, Presidente.
Mr. Prime Minister, Minister for the Affairs, Minister for the Investment, Trade and Industry, ladies and gentlemen, businessmen, Italian and Malaysian. Prime Minister, thank you very much for being here. This is a very important day for Italy because the relations between Malaysia and my country are very, very important. The relations are very, very positive, but it's possible to do more. So this day is the first step for strengthening this cooperation. We need to look at the future together. We are very happy also for the relationship at political level, not only at economic level between you and us. Tomorrow we will have an important meeting with you, our Prime Minister, me, your Minister for Affairs, Minister for Defense, and our Minister for Defense. It will be an important occasion for this. Today is the first step, tomorrow is the second step. But we want to work hard with you because it's important for us to work together at economic level, but also at political level. We need to work together for peace, for stability. Without peace and stability, it's impossible to do business. Italy is an industrial country. 4 million of small and medium-sized companies, with a lot of big companies. We are ready for exporting our products, but also our know-how. We are ready for joint ventures. We are ready also for hosting investment coming from abroad. We are the second most important industrial country in Europe. We are the fourth country on trade. This trade is the 40% of our GDP. And Malaysia is one of the most important countries for our strategy of export. As I said during our meeting, our embassies in the world will be more and more involved in business sector. Our embassies will be platforms for supporting the internationalizations of our companies, but also for supporting our entrepreneurs and for explaining the situation in Italy, for receiving more investors in our country. This is very, very important for us. As I said, the relations between you and us are very, very positive, but I think it's possible to do more. We are involved in all the actions in favor of peace and stability. Fortunately, the situation in the Red Sea is very dangerous, but for both it's important the freedom of trade in this part of the world. Italy is involved also in the military mission Aspides for the protection of our vessels. We are working hard for achieving an agreement between America and Iran for stopping this situation in the Middle East, also between Israel and Hamas. Allow me now to talk on my mother tongue. L'industria italiana guarda sempre più con grande attenzione al vostro Paese come meta di investimenti, in particolare nei settori più avanzati. Insieme alle agenzie per l'internazionalizzazione abbiamo predisposto specifici strumenti finanziari di sostegno anche per incoraggiare gli investimenti in Italia. Quelli malesi valgono già 115 milioni di euro, ma vogliamo fare molto di più. Non è un caso che oggi siano qui con noi i vertici di ICE, della Cassa Depositi e Prestiti, Siemens e SACE, che sono le nostre agenzie, come dicevo, per la internazionalizzazione e che sono uno strumento prezioso per accompagnare, insieme alle nostre ambasciate, le imprese italiane nel mondo. La Malesia è il nostro terzo mercato di sbocco con i paesi ASEAN e assorbe quasi il 16% del nostro export nell'area. È una relazione privilegiata che è reciproca e ce lo dicono i dati. Nel primo trimestre di quest'anno il nostro interscambio è in ulteriore forte crescita rispetto all'anno precedente, quando superammo i 3 miliardi di euro. È un interscambio che abbraccia una grande varietà di settori, dagli apparecchi elettronici, ai macchinari, all'agroalimentare, ai metalli e alla gomma. Ma ci sono tante altre opportunità, penso ai microchip, all'aerospazio, alla navalmeccanica. Abbiamo imprese come Leonardo e Finmeccanica che sono imprese all'avanguardia che possono collaborare, lavorare bene in Malesia. È sempre stata la Malesia, infatti, per noi un partner nel settore dell'industria della difesa e della sicurezza, con collaborazioni industriali consolidate e prospettive di ulteriore rafforzamento. Le nostre imprese, signor Primo Ministro, sono pronte a investire in una cooperazione sempre più stretta. Ma penso anche al comparto dell'energia, dove l'Italia è in prima linea nella transizione energetica. La nuova joint venture tra Eni, Petronas e la giapponese Euglena per la costruzione di una bioraffineria è un grande risultato per la sostenibilità del trasporto aereo e su strada. È un successo per la collaborazione tra Malesia ed Italia. Altre occasioni si aprono nella generazione di energia elettrica, dove l'Italia ha da offrire macchinari di eccellenza altamente affidabili, o ancora nella connettività, dove le imprese italiane stanno diventando sempre più protagoniste. Non a caso il governo lavora per fare dell'Italia il polo digitale del Mediterraneo, anche grazie al cavo che collegherà il porto di Genova in Italia a quello di Mumbai in India. È un'autostrada digitale verso il sud-est asiatico. Oggi sono presenti in Malesia alcune tra le nostre più grandi realtà industriali italiane e vogliamo, come dicevo, fare di più nel settore della difesa. Le nostre imprese trovano in Malesia stabilità economica, un elevato grado di sviluppo tecnologico e materie prime. Questo è di grande importanza, è fondamentale per tutti coloro che intraprendono, ma la stessa stabilità, la stessa disponibilità la troveranno tutte le imprese malesi che vorranno lavorare nel nostro Paese. Dobbiamo sfruttare insieme anche la possibilità di AIMEC, il nuovo corridoio infrastrutturale commerciale che collegherà l'India e quindi l'Asia attraverso i paesi del Golfo, attraverso l'Africa, il porto di Trieste, che è un grande porto italiano, ma che è anche il porto di tutta l'Europa centrale. Ecco, dobbiamo valutare tutte queste opportunità per vedere come incrementare e rinforzare strategicamente la nostra cooperazione. Quindi, signor Primo Ministro, cari colleghi, io sono sicuro che questo appuntamento, come dicevo, non sarà una tappa conclusiva, sarà la tappa iniziale, aprirà le strade a tante nuove occasioni di collaborazione. Io credo che si possa veramente seguire un percorso insieme che noi vogliamo rafforzare attraverso una sempre maggiore interazione tra i nostri governi, che hanno la fortuna e la capacità di garantire stabilità ai nostri due paesi, che sono due paesi amici. Anche per questo abbiamo inaugurato il 6 giugno la nuova sede dell'Ambasciata d'Italia a Kuala Lumpur, un'ambasciata all'altezza delle nostre ambizioni, che vuole essere, come dicevo, un trampolino di lancio per le imprese italiane verso la Malesia e naturalmente per quelle malesi verso l'Italia. Signor Primo Ministro, cari ministri, potete contare sul nostro Paese, sull'Italia, per guardare insieme al futuro e per dare prospettive anche di lavoro, perché tutto ciò che noi facciamo a livello economico lo facciamo per far vivere meglio i nostri concittadini. Ecco, noi potremo collaborare con voi per aiutare i malesi a vivere meglio e voi potete aiutare noi per far vivere meglio i nostri concittadini italiani. Ecco, sarà una collaborazione sempre più fruttuosa e credo che ne saremo entrambi molto soddisfatti. Non posso che augurare a tutti quanti buon lavoro, viva l'amicizia tra la Malesia e l'Italia, sappiate che potete sempre contare su di me, ma sempre sul governo italiano. Buon lavoro.
Ringrazio il Presidente Tajani. I thank you, Your Excellency, for your valuable contribution and your tireless leadership in strengthening the relations between Malaysia and Italy. It is now my honor to invite to take the floor His Excellency the Prime Minister of Malaysia, the Most Honorable Dato Seri Anwar bin Ibrahim. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister Antonio Tajani, Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen May I begin by extending my appreciation to Deputy Prime Minister Tajani and, of course, the Prime Minister Meloni for the invitation to visit this great country, Italy. Last night we met, when we arrived, we immediately met diaspora of Malaysians here. And I was extremely delighted and excited to be in Rome. You cannot imagine, Dylan, how we, from the faraway land, look at this great country with great history, civilization. I mean, no educated Malaysian would miss the stories from Pompeii to Julius Caesar to, of course, Mark Antony, and to the great works of Dante Alighieri, of Divina Commedia, understand from a young age what Inferno means, Purgatorio and Paradiso. So I met Deputy Prime Minister. I said, this is to me a Paradiso, but I'm locked here. A Paradiso is outside, and not this weather anyway, it's a bit too hot. And beyond that, the great literary works. I was saying, and I agreed with one of the great American literary critic when he mentioned Tomasi de Lampedusa in his The Leopard. How do you pronounce it in Italian? Captopario. Not easy. But you know, one of the great novels about the decline of Sicily, all right? And of course, Caruso. And I'd be ashamed to say that some of the young Italians have forgotten Caruso. And people like me from the far land are still very appreciative of the great, one of the, not only the songs, but the great voice that I think would have defeated Elvis Presley and the rest. And okay, that's just a short introduction. I'm showing that how excited and delighted I am to be with you and your great country. So do not underestimate the importance that we observe and see Italy. Of course, now Italy has transformed. It's a great industrial country. It is the leading EVs and AI, and you look at the industry in terms of shipbuilding and airplanes and helicopters, and even decarbonization and energy transition. So thank you again, and I look forward, therefore, to enhancing these relations between the two countries, focusing, of course, on trade and investments. What is the great news? Great news is that we have gone and decided to focus on the procurement of most helicopters from Leonardo. We should pronounce not Leonardo, Leonardo. I mean, this is very Italian, and this is huge, which means both for defense and civilian use, because that's also a strength. And then, of course, Fincantieri, we worked, and I do view this objectively. Countries compete, and the Navy and the Defense Ministry will give their recommendations. And thus far, it is have an excellent sort of relations. Then, of course, now, one which I mentioned to Deputy Prime Minister is this outstanding venture into energy transition. With Petronas, our oil company, which is, of course, one of the top 10 in the world, with ENI, in energy transition, and he has that expertise, one of the leading companies with this technology, including CCUS. And interesting enough, once ENI was there in Malaysia, cementing that sort of relations with Petronas, a week later, Prime Minister of Japan called me and said, look, this is something which you would certainly support, and wants me to give him an update of the progress, because they want to participate and invest. So Italy and Malaysia, through ENI and Petronas, would make a major breakthrough in the region, And last week I had lunch with President Prabowo of Indonesia. He mentioned precisely, can we participate in this venture between ENI and Petronas? So you see, that is why I feel extremely delighted to be here to tell you this great story. But of course, there are 100 other ventures which Italian companies, most of you here, are familiar with. Malaysia is, of course, in Central ASEAN, is very committed to the ASEAN framework, and we are very fortunate, notwithstanding some minor issues here and there. ASEAN happens to be the most peaceful regions in the world and the fastest growing economy in the world. And our policy of centrality, we're engaging with all countries. We are fortunate because we're quite far from Gaza and Ukraine. And although we remain, as the Deputy Prime Minister remarked, very committed on the issue of democracy, of reform, and more importantly, on peace and security for the world. Because, therefore we discuss, and I'm sure we'll bring this up to Prime Minister Meloni, first to thank the position taken by the Italian government on free access and ending secession and hostilities against civilians in Gaza, and giving access to humanitarian aid and supporting the two-state solution. And I'm very appreciative of that stance. And then to end the war between Israel and Iran. As a small country, taking a very friendly position, we engaged. And I was very fortunate to have a long chat over the phone with the president of Iran, expressing not only Malaysia's position, but also ASEAN interest to ensure that there is peace. But of course, to stop also continued Israeli aggression in these territories to secure a very peaceful Middle East. Italy has that history. You have better understanding of the region. You have so much interaction. And I mentioned this leopard, the novel, and you can see from the novel how the exchanges between the aristocratic family of in Sicily, with Spain, with the Muslims, with the Christians, and this has evolved and created a better understanding. And you are in a position, of course, to do more to ensure there is peace and security. Ukraine, I mentioned to the Deputy Prime Minister that was in Moscow and Kremlin, had very long, good exchanges with President Vladimir Putin, with many Europeans don't approve of. But to me, as a country that observes centrality, we continue to engage. We do not support aggression. We do not support violence. But we have that position to continue to engage. Now, finally, of course, this is again the major focus of my presence here with the Deputy Prime Minister is, of course, to encourage you to see Malaysia. We are fortunate again. Malaysia, we have seen, for example, 180% growth in tourism in 1 year, which is fantastic, which has created problems for us because sometimes the infrastructure cannot cope. But we have seen that, and we have seen this phenomenal increase of Italians going to Malaysia. Of course, in the past, we were thinking, of course, Malaysians should come to Italy. I mean, it's a great, beautiful country from the north to south, or from what do you say, Milano to Palermo. I mean, you see this is different world. I mean, and of course, those who know, understand civilization and history would like to stay here and sit for days learning and seeing this development, which unfortunately the Deputy Prime Minister denied me completely this opportunity because the program started meeting from morning to night. If he wants me, if I want to go to the Colosseum, I have to go to at 1 a.m. because before that I'll be busy in meetings. But of course, it's a rare pleasure to be here, and may I assure you that Malaysia believes in free trade, in a very dynamic policy. We have the clarity of policies. That is why we have achieved phenomenal growth, low inflation, and even increase, enhance a trade between our both countries, and therefore all that's necessary to make Malaysia as a competitive, attractive country for foreign direct investments is there. We can always inquire from all the companies that have been there. We listen, we make the necessary adjustments, because to my mind, the fundamental is still economic development and progress. Without that, we cannot improve our education, our health, and our infrastructure. So thank you again for this opportunity. I wish to come back quietly to look at the great city and the civilization. Thank you.
I thank His Excellency the Prime Minister of Malaysia, the Most Honorable Dato Seri Anwar bin Ibrahim, for the inspiring words and the vision for a deeper cooperation between our two nations. So, now the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs has to leave us because of an institutional engagement. So, and we'll be waiting for you to come back. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We are waiting His Excellency the Prime Minister and the Minister of MITI to come back. Ah, perfect. Tengku Zafrul and Your Excellency. So, thank you very much for your inspiring words, Your Excellency, Prime Minister. So now we proceed for the second leg of